The special of the day, Marla had just moved to the coastal town of Dredge Harbor, a fog-drenched stretch of weather-beaten houses and crooked piers. Everything about it felt like it had been forgotten, by time, by tourists, by the sun itself. After a long day of unpacking, she wandered the streets looking for a place to eat. That's when she saw the dim glow of a sign, the Marrow Inn, established 1892. It didn't look like much. The windows were so fogged over she couldn't see inside, but a rich aroma of spices and simmering broth drifted through the cracks in the old wood door. Hungry and curious, she stepped in. Inside was warm, strangely so, like stepping into a living creature's mouth. A tall, pale host greeted her with an unsettling smile. His voice was velvety but flat. "Welcome. You must be new. Might I suggest the special of the day?" Marla hesitated. "What is it?" The host's grin didn't falter. "It's local. Caught fresh just this morning." Too tired to argue, she nodded and sat by the window, trying to peer out into the fog. But it was like the world outside no longer existed. Moments later, the meal arrived under a silver dome, which the waiter lifted with a flourish. A thick, dark stew steamed in a stone bowl. She took a bite. It was sweet, rich, meaty, but unfamiliar. The texture was wrong, too soft in places, too sinewy in others. "What kind of meat is this?" she asked the waiter, who stood eerily close behind her. "Only what the sea provides," he whispered. Later that night, Marla awoke with stomach cramps and cold sweat. Her apartment felt wrong, airless, damp. A soft, bubbling sound came from the kitchen. She followed it, barefoot, heart racing. When she opened the fridge, she recoiled. Inside was the same stew, but she hadn't brought any home. The bowl looked ancient, stone-like at the restaurant, its surface etched with barnacles and black veins. Steam drifted from it. The stew was warm. She slammed the fridge shut and locked herself in the bedroom. But sleep didn't come. Whispers echoed from the pipes. Wet footsteps padded across the hallway floor. Something was in the apartment with her. By morning it was gone. So was the bowl. Shaking, Marla returned to the Marrow Inn. But it wasn't there. The building stood dark and broken, windows shattered, sign hanging by a rusted chain. A man sweeping the sidewalk nearby looked at her with concern. "That place," he said, spitting, "been closed 20 years. Owner disappeared after folks found out he was putting human meat in the food. Said the sea told him to do it." Marla tried to laugh it off. "Must have been a pop-up or something. I ate there just last night." The man's expression didn't change. "You should leave town before it follows you back." That night, the whispers returned. Louder now. The stew was waiting again. This time, not in the fridge, but on her table, candlelit. A note beside it read, "Welcome back, Marla. You've been chosen." She tried to flee, but the apartment twisted around her. The door led to hallways of wet stone and coral. Salt dripped from the ceiling. Shadows moved behind the walls. She was no longer in Dredge Harbor. She was back at the Marrow Inn, and the staff was smiling. As they brought the next bowl, they leaned in and said, "Now it's your turn to feed the sea." Behind the freezer door, Julian had never been one for horror stories. Urban legends didn't scare him, and ghosts were just metaphors in his opinion. That's why he didn't think twice when he accepted the night shift at Griddle Spoon, a 24-hour diner on the edge of town. The pay was good, the hours were quiet, and the only real danger was falling asleep on the job. But that changed on his third night. It started with a cold spot near the walk-in freezer. No matter how many layers he wore, it always felt like winter air was leaking through the thick door. Then came the sounds. Soft at first. A knocking, faint, rhythmic. Always from inside. Probably just the compressor, he told himself. But when he mentioned it to Ray, the manager, the man went stiff. "Ignore it," he said. "Don't open the door unless you have to, and never after midnight." Julian thought he was joking. Until the next night. He checked the clock. 12:03 a.m. Knock, knock, knock. He stood in front of the freezer. The sound was clear now, louder, not mechanical, intentional. Curiosity overrode caution. He opened the door. Nothing. just rows of stacked meat, frozen vegetables, and a thick cloud of icy air. But on the back wall, faintly etched in frost, was a word: hungry. Julian backed out slowly and slammed the door. That night, he couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he heard that knock again, echoing behind his eyelids. By the fifth night, he stopped pretending it was just stress. The cameras confirmed it. Movement in the dining room around 2 a.m. He watched the feed in the office. A pale, naked figure crawling across the tiles, its limbs bent wrong, face blurry in the low light. It moved too fast, too smoothly, and it vanished before he could reach the front. He showed Ray the footage. Ray deleted it. "I warned you," Ray said. "It's been here longer than the diner. Some say it came in with the first freezer, back in the 70s. Others say it's always been in cold places. We just feed it scraps and stay out of its way." Julian's stomach turned. "You feed it?" Ray lit a cigarette with shaking fingers. "Strays. Sometimes new hires. Ones that don't listen." Julian decided that night would be his last shift. He packed his things at 3 a.m., heart racing. But when he went to leave, the door wouldn't budge. The locks had been melted shut. Not frozen, but soft, warped, like someone had breathed fire on them. Then came the knock, not from the freezer, from behind him. He turned. The hallway lights flickered. The freezer door creaked open slowly on its own, releasing a cold mist. Inside, two glowing eyes stared out, low to the floor. A voice, wet, whispery, echoed through the tiles. "Hungry." Julian ran. No one saw him again after that night. Ray filed the paperwork, told the other workers he moved out of town. But a week later, a new employee arrived. Same building, same uniform, same name tag. Only this Julian never blinked. He didn't speak much. And he loved working in the freezer. The cameras still show movement at 2 a.m. The new Julian always turns them off before anyone can see. But if you walk past Griddle Spoon late at night, you might hear it. A low, cold knocking, and the faint whisper of a voice that lives behind the freezer door. The waiter's smile in the heart of the city stood Chez Noir, a luxury restaurant praised for its fine dining, quiet atmosphere, and flawless service. People waited months for a reservation. The food was unforgettable, but those who worked there whispered about something else. The new waiter. He appeared suddenly. No interview, no name tag. He didn't speak or blink. He simply smiled. A wide, unnatural grin that stretched just a little too far. Guests adored him. They left glowing reviews calling him mysterious and charming. But staff avoided him. They said his presence chilled the air. Some claimed to hear whispers when he passed by. Claire, the head chef, didn't believe in ghost stories. She ran a tight kitchen. But even she noticed the strange things. First, the dishwasher vanished during his shift. No goodbye, just gone. Then the pastry chef quit in the middle of service, pale and shaking. One by one, staff disappeared, and each time the silent waiter took over their duties without being asked. Claire became uneasy. She once saw him in the wine cellar, standing on the ceiling, crawling backwards into shadow like an insect. She told another cook, who quit the next day without a word. One night after everyone had left, Claire stayed late to check the pantry. The restaurant was silent. She heard footsteps down the hallway and followed. The waiter stood at the end of the corridor facing a tall mirror, but his reflection didn't match. It moved separately, its grin growing impossibly wide. Claire froze. Then the reflection's head turned toward her, though the real waiter never moved. The hallway lights flickered out. Claire ran, but the next day she didn't show up. Her phone was off. Her locker was empty. No one asked questions. That night, a new chef took her place. Same height, same uniform, always smiling, never blinking. Rumors spread quietly among the newer staff. Some said the waiter was a demon, bound to a mirror. Others said the restaurant itself was cursed, feeding off its own employees. One guest took a selfie in the restroom. When she looked at the photo, she screamed. In the mirror behind her stood the waiter, his mouth open in a silent scream, though in real life he was smiling calmly by the entrance. The photo vanished from her phone the next day. Now, once every full moon, someone goes missing at Chez Noir. A host, a line cook, even a guest. And each time someone new appears, pale, quiet, smiling. So if you ever visit Chez Noir, enjoy the service and tip well. But if you see the waiter who never blinks, do not follow him. And whatever you do, don't look